everyone. Welcome back to the 2 a.m. Campfire Club. I'm Ethan.
I'm Reagan. We're going to have a great time, just the two of us talking about...
Jar Jar Binks.
No. Why? What do you have to say about Jar Jar Binks?
No, I'm going to start back where we finished. If you just put Luke and Finn together, replace Kylo with Jar Jar, makes everything better. Makes it the best part of the trilogy. That would make, I did just do a Chef Kiss. We gotta talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
We're talking about...
Unfortunately.
That is the life of, being a Star Wars fan. It's like, yeah, I like Star Wars. I like 3 of the 9 main series films, and
those
maybe
3 were really good.
Yeah, those 3.
The rest of them were pretty horrible, but I'm here for those 3.
Yeah, I watched
and the spin-offs. All the spin-off things are great. Clone Wars, The Mandalorian, Rogue One.
I think Rogue One, I don't know. I feel like that movie was kind of slow, and the characters didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I did like that movie.
It was really entertaining, though.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that movie had that a lot of the other ones are missing, is that it was just really captivating.
Yeah, I think that captivating is the right word. I was very enthralled by it.
I wanted to know what was going to happen, and I was genuinely interested in the plot. And not a lot of honestly, almost none of the other ones have been able to do that. Episode 9, the plot sucked. Honestly, it's kind of like Riverdale for Madeline. Episode 9, I know it was bad, but at least I enjoyed it to an extent. I was interested to know what was happening. Well, with 8, it just felt like there was so much going on. There was no cohesion. They were shoving random plots together for no reason. They were doing things with characters that they shouldn't have been doing. And then in 9, that's where it really panned out. They realized their mistakes, and they were like, well, crap, this movie's going to suck no matter what we do because all the setup was horrible.
I don't think it was necessarily realizing their mistakes, though, because I think because to me, what 9 really felt like, rather than going off of, continuing off of the story of 8 and realizing their mistakes and making a more cohesive narrative, it felt like J.J. Abrams pulling the franchise back from Rian Johnson violently and putting it back on the track that he wanted, which doesn't work. And so
it just was
it felt
all these plot lines happened, but now they didn't.
Yeah, but now it doesn't matter.
We're just gonna do the exact same thing we did last time and the time before that.
Exactly.
And so this time it won't make sense.
Yeah. And I felt like 9 was even more messy because there was nothing tying it together. At least with 8 there were characters.
That wasn't even an interesting planet. It was so bland. It was just it was like Tomb, the planet. It looked like they were in the evil temple, but it was apparently a whole planet, and it was really stupid. And it was like, why are they here the whole movie? It's not even a cool place.
Literally, the episode 9 went, okay, the villain is Palpatine, but again. And the threat that we're trying to stop
they didn't even explain why or how. They were just like, but he's
somehow
back.
Palpatine has returned.
We're not going to tell you how. He's just now. He's here now.
Dark magic, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew. Cloning. They literally say cloning is a secret only the Sith knew.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because there weren't clones.
They were definitely never
Clone Wars and the original. Literally everything was clones. What are you talking about, you idiots? Is Rex a joke to you?
Literally, the threat that they had to stop was just lots of Death Stars. It's 1,000 Death Stars. That's not how stakes work.
Honestly, that's what they did. They were just so what if we take all the major plot lines from all the other movies, we shoved them into one, and then we multiplied them by 10. And then we're just
1,000.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll bring back Lando, and Chewie can get his medal. And it's like, oh yeah, there were characters in this series. They didn't have any character arcs. We totally forgot about them and their emotional depth.
Yeah,
oh wow.
They didn't even do anything with them. Honestly, Finn was just there. Except for when he met Finn 2 Electric Boogaloo. Poe was just there.
Yeah,
Poe was just there.
Poe was literally just there to be mad at Finn because Finn was chasing Rey around.
And Finn too. Yeah, it was just like Finn chasing Rey, Poe's chasing Finn.
Rey is chasing Kylo. Kylo's the only one with a character arc, and it's not even a good character.
It's not good. Because
literally he talks to his dad and he's like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I decided I'm good now because my mom died.
Because I feel like it.
Yeah.
And
I will say
something felt weird, and so it's happening now.
Yeah, and I was kind of into the climax.
The Force told me I'm good.
Yeah,
so I'm good.
The screenwriters told me I'm good.
So I'm good now. It doesn't make sense, but it's true.
Yeah, and like,
Palpatine. So I'm sorry, because Palpatine.
Oh my god, I was kind of into the climax. Like Kylo running around in his pajamas.
I thought it was fun
until that whole stupid part where
honestly, I haven't thought about this movie like this before.
Where Rey dies and then Ben resurrects her and then they kiss. And it's the worst thing in the worst.
Dies.
Yes, and then he just falls over. She's just like, oh, okay. I guess
he's
that's
like, I'll do anything and I'll save you. And she's like, oh yeah, he's dead. Oh well.
Yeah, and then he just like gets up and walks out.
Yeah, she just moves on with her day.
Time to return to my real family.
And then she goes back and sits with Finn and Poe, who still were supposed to be hating each other for some reason. And then she's like, yay, we're happy.
Yeah.
God.
It's like, okay, I guess.
She's like, why?
Okay.
How did you get here? What happened to the stuff that just happened? Do you not remember all the people that just died?
I think that might be the worst kiss in all of Star Wars. And there are a lot of bad kisses.
Literally, Luke and Leia kissed.
Yeah, it's worse than the incest kiss, guys. Like...
Oh no. Oh gosh.
Which technically it is an incest kiss because technically they're related now because Rey's a Palpatine.
He's a Skywalker.
And technically Palpatine is Anakin's dad because he was the one who used the Force to make Anakin in his mom. So
science. Star Wars science. Midichlorian. Yeah.
So Rey is technically...
Just say Star Wars words and then it makes sense. That's the way. Honestly, I think they just had like a board of a bunch of random Star Wars words they made up. And you just like threw a dart and they were like, well, let's mix them. And that's how the movie
Force diet. I wonder if I can find
this maybe Palpatine. All right.
Yeah, Star Wars sucks and I love it and I will never not love it. But I genuinely love episode 3, even though it sucks so much, but it's so fun. It's so fun. We should watch Star Wars together sometime.
We should. That would be fun. Honestly, I'm happy with what they're doing with Star Wars now. They found people that understand Star Wars, and then they made The Mandalorian. And I hope that they continue figuring out what they're doing and fix everything.
I honestly...
Well, you don't need to just fix a little bit of it, and you'll make it 1 billion times better. Well, honestly, kill off Palpatine. That's all you need to do. And kill off J.J. Abrams. No, I'm sorry.
I think we have progressed past the need for J.J. Abrams films. He's not a very good filmmaker, in my opinion. Like, right, even his decent films are not that good.
Have you heard of this one dude? He makes like a bunch of... Okay, this is going to be pretty fun. This might be a podcast episode for another time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Curtis Connor, I've mentioned that I watch him. He made a video a while back on this one movie maker who makes sci-fi movies. And he he's just a random dude who felt like making sci-fi movies. He doesn't have a budget. He doesn't have a crew. No cast members. He basically just records himself doing random crap, calling it sci-fi, and then doing really bad editing.
That's amazing.
And it's hilarious. It's so funny. And it makes no sense. Here, I'll send you the link after this. Dude, it's so good. It's literally just bad editing on top of bad writing, on top of bad acting, and then calling it sci-fi. Like, literally,
amazing.
there are movies that have no plot. And even the little bit of plot they do have isn't related to sci-fi, but sometimes he just randomly gives people superpowers or calls them aliens, and so it's sci-fi.
That's amazing.
Now he's a cult following and he's famous because
I bet. I mean, I'm like,
no budget, crappy movies.
This
that
sounds
are really
like some amazing Dadaist art right now. Like,
they're so bad that people like them because they're so bad and they like laughing at them, which is even more funny because I don't think he realizes that's why. I think he's like legitimately thinks he's making good movies.
I doubt that.
Really, no, like you haven't. I watched an interview where he did an interview with somebody, and he legitimately looked like he thought he was making good movies. I think he's just an idiot, and he's just like, I'm gonna make movies, and they're gonna be good, and then they're really bad, and people love them because they're bad. But he doesn't realize it. That seems like the plot of a movie.
I feel like that might be the plot of a movie. I don't know what movie, but that feels like
that is just Doofenshmirtz's life story.
I guess that's kind of
thinking
true.
He's good as a villain, but sucking as a villain to where it's entertaining, and he accidentally becomes a hero some of the time.
I really need to watch Milo Murphy's Law.
Dude, that show is really good.
It's actually not really that good.
It honestly is really good.
I've heard really good things about it, but yeah,
it's funny. It's cool because they bring back the spirit of Phineas and Ferb, but they give it a plot. And which makes it just that much more fun.
It's like you can bring the spirit of a franchise without constantly trying to rekindle.
To recreate it.
Yes.
Which, even so, they did bring Doofenshmirtz back.
Yeah.
But they put him in a completely different role. And they don't capitalize. They capitalize on the personality and not on the plot.
Yeah, like,
which is what they need to. That's what you need to do with something like that. They turn him into Dr. Time.
Yeah, it's about. I mean, if you're gonna bring, you can bring.
Also, Perry the Platypus is there sometimes. For some reason, him and Doofenshmirtz just have a good time every once in a while, and that's just what he's there for.
That makes me so happy.
Well, there's also an episode where he breaks Doofenshmirtz's heart, and Doofenshmirtz is like really depressed, but
I need to watch the show.
Okay, that's off topic again.
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to get off topic.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so moral of the story is Star Wars sucks, but we love it.
Can we do a tier list of Star Wars kisses?
Of kisses?
Yes.
Oh gosh. Can I rate them all like the lowest? Double F.
I think the only one that isn't the worst thing I've ever seen is
you know what I think they should have done? They should make random characters get together in every one of the movies. Like put Obi-Wan and Anakin together. Sure. That makes sense.
That's like a legit ship that people have.
I know, but that's why it works. And then guess what? Jar Jar and Padme. It works.
Oh my gosh.
Chewbacca and Yoda.
No,
Yobaka is what we're calling it.
I see it.
Yobaka.
They go back a long way.
They actually do.
That makes
They're
me
like
so
the
mad.
longest lasting friends.
I know.
I wish they actually had an on-screen relationship.
I would love
they are really.
I would
They
love a
should have been great
Yobaka
friends.
show. I want a Yobaka show.
Robaka with, and then you add R2D2 and C3PO because they're like the fourth longest running characters in the movies.
Yeah. Well, R2D2 and C3PO have been in every main series Star Wars film.
Yeah, everything. I don't think there's been like anything they're not in.
They weren't in Solo, but they were in Rogue One.
Because they gotta be. Even Yoda wasn't in Rogue One, right?
Right. I mean, Yoda wasn't in A New Hope.
Dude, Rogue One. I love that one dude that was blind, and then he just runs to a battlefield. He's like, "I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me." It just somehow avoids dying.
I still don't know like any of the characters' names. I've seen that movie so many times because it's my sister's favorite Star Wars movie.
So good though. See, that's the thing. I love every character in that movie. Every character is interesting and fun.
Every character is interesting and fun except for Jin. I didn't really like Jin. I felt like her storyline wasn't consistent because the rebels literally kill her father, and then she's like, "Now, oh my gosh, K2." Love that guy.
Robot dude, the Force dude's friend. I don't know any of their names.
Yeah,
That's just what I'm going.
I know Jin and Cassian and K2, and I don't know.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Darth Vader. He's in that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I know him. Isn't Leia in that too?
Yeah, she's at the very end.
That's the first time we saw CGI Leia, I think.
That's the only time we saw. Well, I guess technically, yeah.
In
CGI Leia was in 9. Oh, that was horrible. Horrible. That movie was such a mess. The more that I think about that movie, the more
you made me realize how much of a mess it really was.
Horrible things that happened. We should totally.
The thing is, I've only watched those movies once because I couldn't sit through any of them again.
Yeah, I've seen all of them. I've seen 9 twice. I've seen 8 a bunch. I've seen 7 a few times.
7.
But 7 is the one that every time I watch it, I like it less. And that's the thing.
I think I actually do like 7 though. Yeah. I feel like it had enough potential to where I think the reason you don't like it is because of 8 and 9. Not because of 7 itself.
Well, no, I don't think that's true though, because 7 is the one, like, initially I really liked it, and then every time I rewatched it, even before 8 came out, every time I rewatched it, it was just like, oh, okay, like, because there's not enough going on thematically that really keeps me engaged. So it's just like, initially it was like, yeah, fun Star Wars movie, and then it's just like, okay. Yeah, this is kind of predictable. Like,
I think I know why I don't like 8. It's because I always felt like 7 had enough potential. I think 7's the only one I did watch multiple times. I feel like 7 had enough potential to where it could have become interesting. And 8 was when they went past the point of no return. Hear me out. Don't bring back Palpatine. Bring back Jar Jar. Make him evil.
I fully am on board with this. I would love it if they had like an end credit scene where like we see like Jar Jar like being resurrected by the Sith, and then just like immediately Rey just comes in and just like chops his head off with the lightsaber.
It would be even funnier if he just tripped and fell off a cliff or something. He killed himself.
No, that would be so good. That would be so good.
That seems like something Marvel would do. But not like something they would do.
Yeah, that is.
Or like, that seems like a Disney thing to do, though. Though I do. The more I'm remembering now, they did set up Rey to be possibly evil. You got to remember that because she was training with
yeah, Luke. she went to that. She went to the well or whatever.
What was that scene? That scene didn't make any sense to me. That just felt like pointless thing that didn't go anywhere.
Well, the point was, I think in that moment,
like
it's revealed to Rey that her parents left her and she doesn't want to believe it. And so, but the audience doesn't know that until Kylo says it later. And so
that felt less like they were saying that and more like they were saying you're going to become evil. I feel like they did that the wrong way.
I think that's the purpose of it, though.
I think you can get the same point across and get that purpose there in a different way, though, you know? That was just the wrong way to do it, in my opinion.
I think the point of that was to kind of say, like, oh, yeah, like, that Rey does have the darkness in her, and...
That's where Palpatine came from.
Oh, my God.
Honestly think if that scene wasn't there, he couldn't have found a way to fit Palpatine in there at all.
No, I say would have anyways. That was the worst. Like I audibly when Kylo told Rey that Palpatine was her grandfather, I audibly laughed in the theater. It was like
why? That doesn't make any sense. You set her up to be looking for her parents, and then you're like, so what if Palpatine?
What if Palpatine? I know. Like I felt like
that's just Star Wars. What if Palpatine is the plot of Star Wars?
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of people were mad that like it was revealed that Rey was a nobody in episode 8, and I really liked that because it was like it
did feel like they were setting it up to be something bigger, but I actually agree. I think the reason that it was bad is because they took it the wrong way afterward. Instead of building on the fact that she was nobody, they were like, what if Palpatine?
But what if Palpatine? It was the funny, like, that was the funniest situation. Like, oh my goodness. Kylo was like, actually, I lied before. I know I said I'd never lie to you, but I lied. You're actually a Palpatine, and I've known this whole time. It's unfortunate. Your parents were nobodies, but they were nobodies because they chose to be.
And you're just like, I'm sorry, what? You're what now?
It's
and
so
why?
Like her being a Palpatine is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because we've already established if there's one thing we know from Star Wars, it's that whether or not you're a good person or an evil person is not dictated by who your parents are. Like
you're right. It's dictated by Palpatine. That is honestly what it feels like the plot of Star Wars is. Just Palpatine decides everything.
It's Star Wars, a Palpatine story. It's just
I really wish they hadn't have done that. Was like the worst possible thing they could have done. Like if you're gonna bring someone back, maybe find a way to bring Vader back. At least he was interesting. Don't just bring Palpatine back for like his third reprise of a role he didn't need to be in.
Yeah, I was really gunning for a Hayden Christensen Force Ghost, but we got a voice. We got his voice. I thought
once again, that would have been cool.
I would have loved it if at some point he just shows up comedically and it's like, and it just like he just like follows Kylo around and is annoying. Like he's just complaining about stuff. Like he keeps his old personality to the T.
You know what the best part of that movie was? Samuel L. Jackson having one line.
Yeah, I look like Ahsoka got a line.
Yeah. They did a great job with that. That was actually
that whole sequence was really great. I loved that. Like with Rey on the floor and all of the Jedi talking to her. It's everything just like
around that sucked.
Yeah.
It was just, like that one part was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like this. And then it was like, but wait a minute, the whole situation around this is horrible.
But the situation that has prompted
Kylo kissing her almost dying for no reason.
She did die. She died. He resurrected her, and that killed him.
She died.
She died. Like literally died.
So the only reason that they were able to do that was the Mandalorian, and that makes me mad.
What do you mean?
So, but previously, before that, no Force healing had been seen in any Star Wars movie or TV show.
Yeah.
Except in the Mandalorian.
Well, did the Mandalorian come out before episode 9?
Yep.
The first season did? Okay.
The first season was airing during episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, right. It released near the end. And actually, I think it had just finished right when episode 9 came out. And so the only place that it had been seen before that is Baby Yoda healing somebody. But even still, they went from Baby Yoda healing a minor injury that's just a scratch, even though that scratch could have killed the dude. And that the way they did it in that was actually interesting, made sense. It was cool. It was introducing us to a new Force power. I'm not saying they should change that. The issue with it is, then they were like, so what if we copied that and we made it bad and on a really extreme level to where it shouldn't be possible.
Well, I feel like the implication was sort of that they couldn't just.
You can't just heal. You have to move your life force,
right?
Which was something they established in the Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's something that they established. Yeah, that's something that they had established. I feel like, and maybe this is just me projecting, but the implication to me felt like they couldn't have just done that with like anybody. It was like because they were a Force dyad, they were already linked to each other, so they could do special stuff. But they never said that in the movie. That just but it was still dumb.
When you think about the Mandalorian, though, then how does that make sense?
No, I'm saying like you could.
I know what you're saying, like, but the fact of the matter is, since they already had that in the Mandalorian, that's not a possible explanation because he heals a guy he met like the day before, and also was trying to kill him. I'm
saying that you couldn't just go around resurrecting people.
Yeah.
That they. I don't know. I
think
like
Baby Yoda could. That's the issue with that.
I don't know.
Maybe he's just the greatest because he's pretty slick.
Yeah.
He doesn't do much, but what he does, it's really cool.
I feel like force healing though is that seems like a very OP power. And then like,
I know that's why I don't think
like I don't know how you introduce that without like totally throwing everything off.
The best force power is lightning fingers. That's just a fact.
Yeah, well, especially like with Sith, with Sith being able to like suck the life force out of other people. Again, that's kind of an interesting. It makes sense
to be able to give it back.
That's kind of an interesting like flip side to each, because like Jedi give life and then Sith like take it. But again, like that seems very OP. Like if I was a Sith, I would just be going around taking the life force out of everyone, and I would live forever.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, both of those seem OP, which is why I think the way they did it in The Mandalorian was the way that they should have done it, where you can only do it in small amounts. And being able to fully resurrect, like literally, Baby Yoda almost dies by just healing a small scratch. He passes out and is asleep for a while. And if they had established it in a way like that, where even, like, there's no way Kylo should have been able to do that, especially since he was a Sith. He was a Sith like 24 hours ago. And so now he's like, I am so strong with the Force. I can do things that even the best Jedi couldn't do.
Well, yeah, that was the implication, is that Rey and Kylo were like the best ever because they're a Force dyad. Which is even more stupid. Which is like, whatever.
That's so stupid.
They didn't establish that properly.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Explain what a Force dyad was.
Because guess what? Anakin was the chosen one. He was the strongest. Well, you can't make somebody be like, well, we were wrong. It was wrong.
The Jedi were pretty wrong, though. They already established that they were very wrong about it.
But the prophecies weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
They just understood him the wrong way.
Exactly.
But that was very clear that he was supposed to be the strongest ever. And then they were like, so what if these two people were for some reason stronger for just because we feel like it?
Well, I mean, the implication
one of them is just like dead, and then now they're not.
The implication in The Force Awakens was like, okay, if the Force is out of balance again, we need to like Force just every so often decides it's time for some new champions. And so I don't know.
See, I think that
I'm indifferent to that,
though.
Yeah,
like that makes, especially since they established that a lot in Clone Wars.
Yeah, like I'm indifferent.
Now the Force has a will of its own,
right?
That has no sense of good or evil. It just has a sense of balance,
and that's what I like.
Since Kylo was in power and Luke was not, they needed a new person,
right?
So Rey was being called to do that.
Yeah.
The issue was there wasn't just Kylo. There was also that other dude that died really easily.
Snoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cool if there was the two of them versus Rey and Finn. And it was the journey of them realizing, if it was the journey of Rey, who was naturally pretty powerful, who was just trying to find her parents, and Finn realizing he could do something, realizing he could make a difference, and he wasn't just made to be a stormtrooper, and becoming something incredible. So one of them that's naturally cool, just a slight person, and then another one that was set up to fail, but through hard work was able to become something great. That would have been a cool story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just me.
I think that you're right. I think I would just say I don't agree that Snoke should have been in it. Like I think
I don't think Snoke should have been there at all.
Snoke was a sloppy character from the beginning, and I'm honestly glad that they just killed him off, because it was like that was such a cool moment.
Here's another thing they could have done: make it only Kylo, but make Kylo pretty powerful because he's had years of practice. Make the other two need to rely on each other because neither of them are super skilled, so they have to work together to become great Jedi, and only the two of them, when working together, are strong enough to balance out the Force. That would have been a story that made sense as well.
I don't know. I liked the kind of yin yang of Rey and Kylo. I felt like that really worked. I do agree that I think like Finn should have been like set up to like eventually become a force user in the last movie. I feel like
I think what I said before though, that at the end of episode 8 is when he should have found it out.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool.
I think
like he's about to die, he's on the edge of death, and then he just uses the Force, like one of those things where he's like closing his eyes, preparing to die, and then he uses the Force, and he's able to live because of that. And then especially that would be so cool for his character, because his character would be so fitting when he just like, holy cow, what just happened? And then he just freaks out and he's like, cool.
Yeah, I agree. Great. I think that would have been super cool. I feel like that was one of the things. He deserves
so much better. He really did.
They all did. Oh my goodness. Like
everyone did. Like I've said, Kylo deserved better. Luke deserved better. Rey deserved better. Clearly, Poe and Finn did. They did most of all.
Yeah.
And honestly, the other characters deserved worse. They deserved to not be there.
Yeah, all of the other characters didn't need to be there, and
those were the people that were important and should be kept no matter what.
Although
but they needed to do better.
I liked Hux, and I wish that they would have done more with him.
I don't know why they just killed him off. They were just like, so he's dead.
Hux
in the first movie. The first movie.
Episode 9. He wasn't. No, he was killed off in episode 9.
He was?
Yes, it was really so. Hux in 7, he was set up as this like really scary dude, like this, and then in
all powerful, like godlike creature.
No, I'm complete. I don't mean Snoke.
You're right.
Snoke was the Sith. Hux was the general.
Yeah. I figured it out. I got confused for a second. Yeah, you're right.
So. And then
I hate Snoke. Snoke was just ugly.
Snoke was useless.
And then they just killed him.
Useless.
That's what I was talking about. They were just like, so what if he died right at the start? And then you're just like, okay.
Well, he dies at the climax. He dies at the climax of 8 because he's like Kylo kills him.
I know, but it felt really early for him to just, and it felt useless. He didn't contribute to the plot except for dying.
Yeah, which I'm honestly kind of fine with. I'm honestly kind of fine with because he was useless in episode 7. Exactly. I don't think he should have been there to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just don't do anything.
I felt like there wasn't a way to make him more interesting because he was supposed to be Palpatine 2.0. He was supposed to be the one who sits on the big chair and is threatening. And it's like,
once
who
again,
cares?
So what if Palpatine?
Yeah, it's like, who cares? I liked that. Like, I felt like
they were
Kylo
trying
killing
to copy
him.
the original movies. And so they were like, we have to have a big bad who's gonna be like godlike, all-powerful creature.
He's the one manipulating things behind the scenes while the
and then they're just like, so what if he died?
And I feel like that moment where Kylo kills him is actually really powerful. Like it's this point where he's just like, okay, I mean business now. Yeah. And it's
I think
that
made sense that he killed him, but I feel like he shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
the
you
only
there.
thing. The only thing when a character, the only thing the character contributes is dying.
And that's why I
That's
didn't like Admiral Holdo, because she just shows up and slaps Poe around a little bit and then just dies. And it's like, okay,
I don't
that
know
was
who
a
you're
whole
talking about. Oh,
the,
you mean the chick that was Finn's boss at the beginning?
yeah, Poe's boss. Yeah.
Oh, Poe's boss. Wait a minute.
That that was Captain
Yeah, I know who
Phasma.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Finn's the silver stormtrooper lady was Captain Phasma. She also died in a really unceremonious way.
Yeah, she actually seemed cool though.
She would, yeah,
I would have liked to see a little bit more
I
of her.
wish she didn't die in episode 8 and would have stayed around. I feel like it wasn't a meaningful enough moment for
I've always said
Finn.
that the chick that was Poe's
Yeah,
later shouldn't have been there. She was
yeah.
just a useless character all through. Did
Mhm.
not she everything she did could have been contributed in way better ways.
Yeah.
Well, that chick was actually an interesting character. She was like Finn, someone that was interesting. I would have wanted to see more of, but then they were like, "What if we did nothing with them?"
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I feel like episode 8 did really wrong, was killing her off, because she
Yeah,
didn't really contribute all that much for the duration of episode 8, and then like I felt like her death wasn't that
I think
satisfying.
they realized that they created a character that could have been interesting, but they didn't know what to do with, and so they were like, "Well, she's not going to be useful in the future. Let's just kill her off." Same with the other dude. They
Same
were
with Snoke.
like, "Yeah." They were
Yeah.
just like, "We created a character who doesn't contribute to what we want to do now because we forgot we didn't have an idea back then. So we created a character that could have been cool, but now we don't need him. So let's just kill him."
Yeah, and I feel like
They did that way too much in the sequels.
yeah, and that's the one thing that I can kind of praise George Lucas for. Like, he didn't have a plan for the original trilogy, but I
He
feel like
still figured it
he did a
out.
pretty good job of making it consistent while he was flying by the seat of his
Yeah.
pants. Like, it was not his plan for Luke to be Darth Vader's son, but when he decided to do
And
that,
he wasn't his plan for Leia and Luke to be together, clear or to be
it's
siblings,
to be
clearly.
siblings, yeah. And
But
honestly, that
it
was kind of
really
sloppy,
worked.
but it still worked, and I felt like it actually
And it
it
was interesting, it made sense, and it was a cool plot device. And
yeah.
so when you're able to do, which is honestly does show George Lucas's talent
Yeah.
and how he is able to create plot without having a big idea from the start. Now, I'm sure he could have done way better if he did
Yeah.
plan it out from the start. Like
Yeah.
that could have been
Like,
so good if he
yeah.
had a plan.
I felt like I said before, I don't love Return of the Jedi. Like, I think it's a fine movie, but I felt like most of it just kind of it was just kind of there, and I felt like a lot of the emotional core was just the stuff between Luke and Vader, and everything else was just like whatever. So I think, yeah, like I feel like that movie could have been amazing, but it was just all right, like in my
So
opinion.
I'm gonna say what I we talked about this before. I'm gonna say what I think if we were to split it up roughly 50-50 of good and bad. I think the first two and the last two chronologically are the worst. And
I think that's
the
fair.
all the originals, the last of the prequels, and the first of the sequels were the best of the movies in my opinion.
I think that's fair. Like I disagree, but I understand where you're coming from.
See, I also understand why you disagree, and I see that because of what you said about the Last Jedi. And now you also made me realize how bad the last movie is
We didn't even
because
like
Palpatine.
we didn't
We didn't
even
even need to
get
talk about that much.
like we didn't
It's
even
just
get to everything. There's so much of
there.
like
Yeah, the
in
more
that
I think,
movie.
see, I think the real thing about that movie is the eighth movie. What see? Since I only watched them each once, when you're watching them the first time, the eighth movie was not entertaining at all, in my opinion. Like it just felt boring the whole way through and incohesive. But then the ninth movie, it at least had like some moments where you're like with the Jedi thing where all the ships showed up to destroy with Hondo or Lando. Hondo's a great character. We didn't talk about that. I love Hondo. Um, all those moments were at least exciting.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what J.J. Abrams is really good at. He's good at making really entertaining movies that keep you engaged. But then when you kind of think about it, it's like,
You're just like, wow, that actually wasn't good.
Yeah.
How did that make sense? What?
Yeah.
Why was Palpatine there?
There's literally a
Once
point...
again, because Palpatine.
Yeah. There's literally a point where Kylo's ship blows up. And then, like, a scene later, he gets in his ship and he flies away. And it's like, what? Like, we saw it explode.
Well, that's, once again, because Palpatine, that's just Palpatine's story. We saw him explode.
Yeah.
He's still there. So why not a ship? Mm-hmm. That's less of a jump than Palpatine's existence.
Yeah. I do feel like a lot of the time when you have such a like soft magic system, which is basically what Star Wars has, it can often feel like they're just kind of justifying whatever. It's like, oh, well, you're doing this. That doesn't really make sense. Well, they're magic.
But it does.
You can do whatever you want.
It does because I say it does.
Exactly.
It's basically what they're doing.
And I like...
Which, once again, I think that's something that the original movies and The Mandalorian both do really well. Because it makes sense there.
Yeah, I think...
Now, in the prequels and the sequels, you're just like...
Yeah, like, okay.
Why
we're doing this now.
Why?
Yeah. Because I think soft magic systems have the ability
there
to,
is
like...
merit.
Yeah, like, you can usually... Like, I think that there is some merit to being able to just be like, okay, now they do this thing because the plot requires it, or because it has like some thematic relevance.
It helps you be able to do some things that you can't do otherwise.
Right.
And honestly, Star Wars, in a world where they're in space and there's a bunch of cool looking aliens and crap, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's fitting and it's thematic and it's going to help you make a better plot. The issue is they use it in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, I think that you have to set it up well. And when you're introducing new stuff, it has to actually contribute meaningfully to justify its own existence. And it has to be introduced in a way that feels realistic within the world.
Yeah.
And
I think like that the sequels and prequels both really failed on that front.
Yeah. There were
so many ways.
Like, I felt like
there was some good stuff.
The 4 Skype chats felt natural. They felt like that.
And that even that Rey was being called to the Force because of the missing balance. That felt normal.
That made sense. That made sense within our understanding of the Force.
And then there's like things healing, like Palpatine still somehow being alive.
Again.
And the Force healing, and even like the stealing life from people. Yeah. All that stuff, you're just like, that doesn't fit though.
Yeah, that feels
like... Why wouldn't they just be doing that the whole time?
Yeah.
Even like to an extent, Force Ghosts kind of fit. Like, I see why they did Force Ghosts. Because you want to be able to have like some characters that are dead, make the characters that are still alive feel the plot a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And that is really important in the Star Wars universe. That is actually something that they use really well. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't there, it would be an issue. I think the problem with it is they don't really describe it. They don't explain it. They don't explain why Qui-Gon didn't do it.
Well,
and then
that's the thing.
Clone Wars does.
Aren't they? Yeah, because in Clone Wars, that's when they introduce. They're like, yeah, Qui-Gon figured it out. He was the first one. He was the first one to figure out Force ghosts, guys.
Yeah.
So he's here now.
Well, he wasn't a full ghost, though. That was the thing. So that was why it made sense there, because the only times Qui-Gon showed up, it was for a couple seconds with just his voice, while all the other Jedi, after Qui-Gon, were then able to understand how to do it fully because they were able to go through the full training process, which I think that's pretty late in Clone Wars, so if you haven't watched that part of it yet,
yeah, I haven't, but I knew about it. So.
They have a meaningful plot line with Yoda, actually. They have like a 5-episode thing with Yoda in the last season, where he goes on an adventure, he learns about Qui-Gon, he learns about how all that works, and it's in like a meaningful way, to where they finally give you answers to some of the questions about the Force. But there's just so many things that they do with the Force that you're just like, this now at this point it's just a scapegoat for you to be able to do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, it literally is just like, okay, well,
Just be like,
because
so this character,
it says it
they're
in the
dead.
script.
This character, so they're dead, but we didn't feel like that anymore. So now they're back, and we're gonna find a reason.
Yeah.
Even though there is none.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we need to end this.
Yeah, we do.
And once again, you've been Benade. Let's smash again. I'll spectate. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Ciao.